Thank you for tuning in to the Business Advice Podcast. Today we have an entrepreneur with us. Go ahead and introduce yourself so the people know who you are and what you got going on.
How y'all doing? I'm Darryl Floyd from Trade For Records and Next on Deck, record label and a media company.
So, how did you get into starting a record label?
Well, I started out as an artist. I was signed to a group with four of my friends. We were signed to Wyclef. It's a little Wyclef's thing, and one of my group members passed away. So I stood in the business as a writer, just behind the scenes. And when I got to a place where I wanted to do my own thing. So, I moved from Jersey to North Carolina, trying to snatch up all the hottest artists in the surrounding area, and just got busy, bro. Just start working.
You mentioned media company. Like, how did media company come into this?
Well, my media company is Next on Deck, and in the industry, the most important things are being heard and seen, and one of the most powerful tools out there is just having a podcast, a good podcast where people are tuning in and checking out what you got going on, and it just takes your reach so much farther, introduce you to so many different people from all walks, and you get to network crazy. I mean, like, for example, we have a nice following. We get 54 to 70,000 weekly viewers. And now when we throw our events, the last event we threw, we had 56 artists from 17 different states. And only 6 artists from the Carolinas performed other than the 56. It was a 3-day event, and we had iHeartRadio hosting. Big Fence from iHeart, and it was pretty dope. Shout out to Big Fence. They drove in, they flew in, they got here how they could, and it was a great experience for them. They got to talk to established producers and established artists. The Big Fence from iHeartRadio. We all gathered inside the studio, and he made phone calls to some of the top dogs out there, and the artists got to speak to them. They got to speak to the artists, some of them who really clicked, exchanged numbers, and a lot of things has happened for them since. But I mean, it's all business, bro. You know how it go. You gotta be present in the movement when you in entertainment in any and every way.
A lot of people say they want to start a record label. What can you say to someone who wants to start a label on how to be successful?
First thing you want to do is secure some type of funding, because there's a lot of labels out there, but none of them really start with funding. So it's hard, and then, once you do it without funding and you got your artists, you basically spinning the wheel unless you tied in with some connections where you could actually plug the artists in that you're working with. Other than that, some of those artists, they got to come to the table with a budget. And if not, you have to create a way to make a budget. Like, I have 5 of my artists here. They all engineer, and they take shifts engineering, and they make money to support their career. I have 8 hosts for my podcast. Each host, they make money, they come in, they check in, they get a weekly pay, and they decide what they want to do. If they want to pocket their money, that's cool. If they don't want to pocket their money, they want to invest back into themselves, they pass it off, and I do what I do, with ads and just setting them up with shows in different states. And it's important to move around. Everybody depend on social media, but they forget the boots on the ground is where you start your fan base, where you start your audience. You got to get boots on the ground. You got to run up and down that highway, city to city, state to state, rather than just in one place being a local artist trying to blow from home. It's hard to blow from home. It's hard to get home support. So, we put together our own little tours, and we do the most is a 4-state tour, and each state will do 2 cities, and we'll have shows booked, maybe one big show, but during the time of up to the big show, we're hitting all the top open mic spots in those cities.
So can you describe your first year in business, like things you were going through, things you experienced?
One, artists very fickle, they in and they out, they come and they go. A lot of them get into business and they reach out to you to help them, but at the same time, they think they know what's best. Never having any experiences in business, the way you're doing this is not right. You need to do it this way. You're not doing this. You're not putting out enough money. You're not, artists are very fickle. Then you got your studio time, you got your travel, you got dealing with all the different personalities. It's a whole lot to it. Whole lot more than just, okay, we're gonna start a label, we're gonna get out of. You gotta have that plan, you gotta have it mapped out, you gotta know what you're doing, you gotta have some kind of end game, some kind of goal to what you're doing. If you're just jumping in and it's just a label and your plan ain't laid out step by step, by the end of this year, these are all of the main things I want to accomplish. Going into next year, this is where I want to be starting at. I want to be starting doing this. If you're not at that starting point for your next year, then you're behind. If you pass that starting point, you're doing pretty good.
So for an artist that wants to invest some money, what would be the first thing you would advise them to invest into?
Well, because we self-contained, a quality studio to capture your sound the way you want it to be heard. That's first. When you got your sound down, you got the songs you want, and it ain't just you go in and record some songs. You got to bang out at least 30 to 60 joints to choose from on your project. And once you got that locked in, your visuals, all of that is, that's regular stuff that's going to happen. But the more important thing is your marketing and your promo. You got to have that lined up, or you just another one of the millions of artists in the bucket with some songs that you're going to post up here, some videos you're going to put up with nothing, no engine behind it. It's like buying a Lamborghini, but it don't have an engine. Now you got to save up for $80,000 to $100,000 engine while your car just sitting there looking good. Your music will sit. You'll get a couple years pass, a year pass. You got about 1,000 to 1,500 hits, and that's about it. But as far as us, we don't depend on the numbers of social media. When you get caught up in that, it's a lot. Just do your independent thing. Get your own little audience. Travel, move around, and you'll find yourself selling records. You'll find yourself making money. Without a major being involved. Even if it's just a start. And every quarter you start out, you may get a $1,500 check, and then next year is $5 grand per quarter, up until you're doing 20, 30, 50 grand every quarter, and that alone is enough to keep everything you got going. But you gotta have that marketing and promo. If you don't got that, I mean, it don't take but 15, 20 bucks for an ad. If somebody's out there searching for a car part, they gotta watch that ad. Even if they only watch the first 3-4 seconds of it, it still count. It still count and still go towards, your royalties and your views and all of that.
So for the people who don't know about Next on Deck, let them know what all you guys offer and what all you guys provide for artists.
Okay, next on deck is our podcast, social media company. We support all unsigned artists. We probably give more support to unsigned artists than any other podcast out there. You know, we fly them in. We spin a song. We don't give you 5 seconds or a chorus and a verse. You get the whole song. You get the whole song, and after that, you get your feedback from the host. You get positive feedback. You know, we've had a bunch of artists come on, and we told them, nah, bro, that's not it. And um, from my advice, they go in and out of the studio 3 or 4 times on one song till it hit. And a lot of people just don't have. A lot of artists don't have that support. Period. We give 210% support to unsigned artists. We take them on tour. When there's important meetings for other artists, we bring them to those meetings. We let them sit in and listen, or um, in the mix of things, we'll pitch some of their stuff if they got the right stuff. Because it's just all business. You know what I mean? It's all business. An artist, there's a couple artists from off of the podcast that I walked into meetings, and they had their own management, and got themselves in a nice situation, and I got a finder's fee. But that's what we do. I wasn't interested in uh, managing the artist, getting a part of their deal, or none of that. I was just fulfilling uh, my part as CEO of Next on Deck and supporting unsigned artists. Yeah, one artist came through and made a couple of phone calls, and they blocked out a room for him over at the Rock for a whole month and put him up somewhere to sleep. What happened with him, I don't know. We kind of lost touch. I do reach out every now and then. He hasn't hit me back, but he was in a great situation. And that was through Next on Deck. A lot of things happen when there's a lot of people in the right circle. There's even a couple of people in the industry with some names who watch everything we do.
Why is Next on Deck so important to up and coming artists?
Because again, the most important thing to do is to be seen and heard. We do and for example, when we did the last thing where 56 artists came out from 17 different states, we had about 200 people in the venue, and every last one of them was artists. And they came because they know we have the 54,000 to 70,000 weekly viewers across 9 platforms. So the important thing is to be seen and heard. If don't nobody see you or don't nobody hear you, you just doing music.
And what advice would you give to the next person who wants to start their record label today?
Know what you want to do, have it planned out. You're gonna go through some things with artists. Um, I think I've been through at least 60 artists before I found some solid artists. So you're gonna go through that. That's one of the first things you're gonna go through. Everybody's there for the ride. Everybody's there when you first start off and you're fresh, but also every artist feels like they are the one. So, I don't know why you're dealing with this guy when you could deal with me. You gotta, the basic stuff. Having a label is hard work, bunch of headaches, bunch of sleepless nights, and endless work. You gotta be on a job 24/7. If you're not, you have to have your stuff on autopilot, or you gotta have a staff that's working it. You can't sleep with this. You gotta do what you gotta do to push forward. I mean, again, I've been through a bunch of artists. I came from being an artist, so I understand what it's like. It's easier for me, and in fact, I just did a country project. I banged out like 30, 40 songs, put them out there, moved around, did my ads and everything. So I have two of the songs got picked up for P Valley. 8 got picked up for series Roku series. Uh I have 2 label meetings in a week where I'll be flying to San Francisco and I'll be flying to New York. I mean, it's really, putting yourself out there. And if it wasn't for, my ads, moving around, that wouldn't have happened. I mean, when you just starting and you don't have anything else or nobody out there to move you around or represent your work, you gotta invest, $20 ads, $100 ads, $500 campaign that'll last you 3 months. But make sure you do your homework on who you picking to do that, and let them run. And when you spending your money like that, always do it as a label rather than on an individual artist, unless that artist is pulling a weight and bringing something to the table, because a lot of artists expect you to spend money when they haven't made any money, and when they, even if like an artist here, let's say one of my artists, if he's not they don't have any money to do anything, they'll come in and they'll host. I send them out to a venue where people are calling us to come in and host, and they'll host that. Uh they'll get in the studio, they'll record. You gotta as a label, try to create some type of means where the artist could fund themselves without it hurting you on your pockets. It has to work for everybody. It has to work mainly for the label first, and then for those artists.
So let's end on you talking about yourself as a writer. Where did this passion come from?
I mean, I'm from a musical family. My pops was in the band. He played guitar. They jam all night, and he was on his Joe Jackson. He get us in the room and make us sing and dance. As 9 boys, 5 girls, bunch of us, same mama, same daddy. And we was on it like that. But music has always been a part of my life. I've always been into music, and I listen to everything. I listen to everything. And I don't know, music is like connected to my soul. And I listen to enough stuff. I have a enough life experience and everything, whereas you could sit with me right now and just give me one story out of your life, and when you come back, I'll have a song about it, a dope song, not just a song that I put together. And I've got a lot of writing under my belt. Like I said, Wyclef, Mary J. Blige, Faith Evans, Changing Faces, Vivian Green. I've been writing for a long time, a long time.
If somebody wanted to get in contact with you, how could they find you?
Reach out to me at Next on Deck on all platforms. They can holler at you. I'm sure you'll put them in touch, or just find me, inbox me. Somebody from myself or staff will get to you.